Hello, 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 YouTube. This is Dirty Trucking at the crib. And this time, I'm going to talk about a nasty law that I can't stand. That's been widely abused, not only in trucking, but in every aspect of employment. Whether it be W-2, contract. I mean, it's just widely abused. And it amazes me how they create these laws and policies and regulations, and they get abused. People sit up and read this. I mean, it's like they're doing their homework. They read these laws and then find ways to implement them in an abusive manner. Malice. When it comes to your employment. And this nasty little law I can't stand. It's called the at-will employment law. Can't stand that law. I don't know what the Department of Labor was thinking of when they created this law. Why in the world would you create a law that allows the employer to terminate, fire their employee for any reason or no reason? I mean, that's too broad range of power to terminate. I jotted down a few things. We're gonna kind of go to school on this one because I don't know if you all are familiar with it, but you hear it every time you get employed. You sign your little employment contract. Oh, we're an at-will employer here. Man, what does that really mean? For those of you who don't know, they always hollering, we're an at-will employer. Wow. Okay, I'm going to read off of some little stuff I jotted down here. According to the U.S. Department of Labor law, in the at-will employment law, that means the employer can terminate an employee at any time for any reason except an illegal one. Do that make sense? They can terminate their employee at any time or any reason except an illegal one. Okay, and we got to dive deeper into this. Now, there's 3 exceptions, major exceptions to that at-will employment law. I know y'all hear my little jazz in the background. That's Tom Brown's new one, Just Work. You need to go out and get that CD. It's currently being sold on Amazon. Hot song. When I first heard it, I couldn't stop playing it. One of his latest that's out. His singer, Joyce San Mateo. Nice tune. You like it. But anyway, background. Like I said, I like jazz. You're going to hear my jazz in the background. I got it on my playlist that's on YouTube. So you can check out the tunes I like. So, but back to this at-will employment law. You got 3 exceptions to that. And that's public policy, implied contract, and covenant of good faith. That one right there. Covenant of good faith. And when you research the at-will employment law and how many states are at-will employers, it's only a rare few that actually has this covenant of good faith. Now, they say it's in all contracts. From what I was reading, they say it's supposed to be in all contracts. But is it really? So what covenant of good faith means? That means is several different meanings, but I'm going to jot down the major ones that I felt that was important. Covenant of good faith. And mind you, I'm going to be reading off some stuff I jot down, so I'm going to be looking away. So that means not to interfere or fail to cooperate in the other party's performance. That means either the employer or the one signing the contract. Not to interfere. So, would you call that being interference in trucking? When they interfered in me making money by sitting me around? Is it interference when some outside party called my job and alerted them to my YouTube page? And there's something specific in there about that. And you know, about using somebody's stuff that's not being done in office. It wasn't done in office or on your off-duty time. I was off duty. I was on a 34-hour reset. I was off duty and on my own time. I wasn't at the company. I wasn't at their property, on their property. I was on my lease truck, on my YouTube, making videos. But this here at-will employment, it's widely abused. And I don't know if people really know about it. I know you had to hear it because that's the first thing that come out the employer mouth. And I don't know why the employer seems so happy to make that known when they're employing you. Hey, hey, like they're your buddy when they're saying, hey, you know when they're an employer. So they letting you know up front they can terminate your ass for any reason or no reason because of that at-will employment law. As long as it's not illegal. See, you got to do your research on that at-will employment law. But see, I got a beef with that. See, when I read this, it says at-will employment law. Now, the word employ means to employ. You employ, doing some type of work. Employ. That means you're an employee. So, I recently spoke to OIDA about that, and they mentioned something that, you're an at-will employee under that contract as a lease purchase. Oh, really? This could be a valid argument. If I was an attorney, I wish I could be an attorney, because I could take these laws and the stuff people are doing with these laws, and I can put out the right questions to contradict your authority to use those laws in the manner that you've been doing it. You've been misquoting them and abusing them. Taking them and flipping the script, so to speak, to make it work in your favor, to do harm, malice against that employee or that contractor. So, I thought to myself, I said, this would be a valid argument in a court of law when whoever between those people who decide these make up these rules and regulations that's for the benefit of the public. At-will employment law. Employment. That means you're employed. So, this is where the little tricky part comes in at. Okay, I'm a truck driver. I'm lease purchase. Am I your employee? So, if I'm not really your employee, how can you use an at-will employment law to continue these termination processes that's been happening to me? You need to think about that. I'm lease purchase. Lease purchase operators are really considered independent contractors. We're not really owner-operators, so we own the truck, but we're along the lines of that. So if I'm lease purchase, I really don't work for the company. I just signed a contract with the company. I'm not viewed as your employee because I'm supposed to be independent. So why would they be telling me I'm an at-will employee and I'm lease purchase? You ever thought about that? See, these laws, rules, and regulations, I'm telling you, the stuff these companies and these jobs and these businesses and the people are getting away with is ridiculous. You know, you sit up here and you create these laws and rules and regulations, public policies, and they're being abused. And then you hear it when the individual who's complaining about it tells you about it. I mean, you hear it. You hear what they're saying. Like when I say, like what happened to U.S. Express? They terminated me for absolutely no reason. That's at-will employment law, ain't it? Say for no reason. But am I the employee? I'm an independent contractor. Can you use the at-will employment law with an independent contractor? Now, okay, we signed a contract. Yeah, we signed a contract. But am I your employee? That contract doesn't state I'm your employee. I signed a lease purchase contract with you to lease a truck from you for you to dispatch me on miles to generate income for a set amount. Deductions here and there for escrow and maintenance account. Where did it say I'm your employee? I'm not your employee. I mean, but people don't think about that. How these people just say stuff, take stuff, and misword it. And the stuff I've been hearing, the reason when they be terminating me, the key words they be saying is letting me know that you've been sitting up there brushing up on these at-will employment laws. And then you just take out specific words to say to me to try to make it sound like what you're doing is legal. An independent contractor is not your employee. But back to this at-will employment law. That's a nasty law I can't stand. Why in the world would you sit up and create a law that had that kind of power to terminate or fire for no reason or any reason? Why would you do that? With all these deceitful practices, that law just opened the door for nothing but malice, deceitful practices, a number of things to happen to that employee, or even in trucking as a lease purchase operator, even a company driver. You opened the door for them to get away with anything. That at-will employment law needs to be revised, needs to be re-looked at and revised. Because it's the wording of it is too powerful for the employer. Terminate for any reason? No reason? Really? So that means you can come in to work one day, ain't did a damn thing wrong. Your employer tap you on, hey, you out of here. Fired. At-will employment law. Get out of here. Why would you create a law like that? And this is supposed to be in the best interest of the people, the public? Why would you create a law that does more harm than good? You know what that law does? If you under an at-will employment contract, as far as your employment, you can't sue the employer. That means you can't bring any legal case or nothing against them unless it's something they done illegal. But if you're in at-will employment law, forget going to court. If you under that law with your employment contract, oh, you can't do nothing. At-will employment. Why would you create that kind of law? Okay, now this, I've been doing some little research today, and and I want to take y'all to school on this here. You need to do your homework and research on the at-will employment law and those 3 major exceptions, policies, to let you know what your employer can and cannot do when it comes to terminating you under that law. Just because they got it in your contract. Yeah. You can't just do anything. See, I should have been an attorney. I'm telling you, I'll be rich. I'm telling you, I can ask specific questions and shut all this stuff down. So let's get back to this at-will employment law. It's one of the major clauses in here. It's called the covenant of good faith. And I briefly read to us, not to interfere with or fail to cooperate in the other party's performance. So I'm going to read the full definition. There's several different wordings of definition, but I'm going to read you a good one that I found. A general assumption of the law of contracts that people will act in good faith and deal fairly without breaking their word using shifty. You hear that? Western Express? Using shifty means to avoid obligations or denying what the other party obviously understood. You being the other party. And they say this is supposed to be in all contracts. Covenant of good faith. But is it really? If this is supposedly to be in all contracts, then how these jobs, these recruiters, these employers getting away with doing this stuff that's really shifty means? Hint, Western Express, U.S. Express, even Risinger Brothers. Shifty means you stand up there and word stuff in your orientation to make it seem like it's something legal you can do. And I'm going to state this again. And this is a good argument in court. Just because it's in their contract doesn't make it legal. I can write anything in a contract. Don't mean it's legal. But that's what they're doing. And then what I see is happening with me, and this has been happening quite often, when I, mouth off, stand my ground, or say something about what I know they're doing is wrong, then they want to come around here doing this at-will employment law on me. That's why I get terminated. But really, can you use at-will employment law on an independent contractor? I would like to know, can you do that? That would be a good argument in Congress, the Supreme Court. Can you use at-will employment law with someone who's technically not an employee? No, it's not technically. I'm not your employee. I just signed a contract with you to lease your truck that came with your terms of what you wanted me to do as far as that truck, and then what I'm accepting of you as far as monetary payment for leasing that truck, paying you for that truck, and running loads. I'm not an employee. Even in trucking, I'm not an employee. And now if I'm a company driver, yes, now I'm an employee. You seem to confuse these laws with different aspects of a person's job. Okay, you got company drivers, you got owner ops, and you got lease purchase. Owner ops definitely is not a damn employee. Neither is lease purchase. So I would think only company drivers will fall under the at-will employment law. So how are you terminating me? And then I listen to them. Oh, they think they slick. They think they clever. I'm hearing these little key words because you've been researching the law to see what you can say to me. And they're taking them words and putting them together and saying things to me to make it sound like it's legal for them to do, to terminate me. And it's not. You're taking bits and pieces of the law and formulating them into a sentence and coming up with something that's goddamn incorrect. but yet I'm getting terminated for it. Can a lease purchase driver, who especially in the eyes of the IRS, is not an employee, be governed under the at-will employment law? That law is a nasty law. I can't stand it. It needs to be revisited and revised. It's a real nasty law. But when I looked up these states, it's only a handful states that even recognize this here covenant of good faith exception. Why is that? Because you want to know why? Those states that do recognize it, those are the states that has, you can take that to court to get prevented from being terminated for reasons that's unjust or malice, something like that. But those states that don't recognize that, what's this telling you? A state that don't like this clause, covenant of good faith, not a clause, it's an exception. One of the major exceptions, covenant of good faith. And the way this covenant of good faith, if it was accepted by all states, you wouldn't be getting terminated all willy-nilly. The employer couldn't come up with just any reason to terminate you. And I'm gonna read some more that I jot down about this covenant of good faith. Because, I mean, this is some good research for you. Research that at-will employment. If you've been having troubles on your job, being constantly terminated, your employer is starting to quote key words that sound legal to you, research this at-will employment law. Flip the script on them. Get them back at their own game. Because they're taking wordings from laws that's already been established, and they're using it against you as reasons to terminate. So let me read a little bit more about what I done took out as some key points about this good faith, covenant of good faith. Now, it said fair dealings acting contrary to the spirit of the contract. Fair dealings acting contrary. Fair dealings acting contrary to the spirit of the contract. Fair dealings. That's not what they're doing in trucking. You're not having fair dealings to lease purchase contracts. And you're not acting in the contrary. You're having unfair dealings, deceitful and deceptive dealings with lease purchase contracts because you're ripping the drivers off. That's not right. And I don't think it's right. This shouldn't be going on. I'm telling you, I should have been an attorney. I'm telling you, I can jot down some questions that'll blow the courtroom's mind and make them think, wait a minute, she just said that. Wait a minute, what you're doing is illegal. I guarantee you, I could put some questions to you about what these employers doing, and I guarantee you, what they're doing is illegal. But the way they word things and how they get away with this stuff, they get away with it. You want to know why? Because they slick, they clever. They know what to say. They keep themselves right in the eyes of the law. But when the law hears it, you know, I say this stuff all day. I'm telling you stuff all day that is clearly illegal and goes against this at-will employment. And other public policies. That's for my benefit as you know. They hear this, but they still let these individuals get away with it. I mean, it's like it go in one ear and out the other one. But when you make these policies, rules, and regulations, we're supposed to read and abide by it. But these businesses and employers are not. Why is that? Okay. At-will employment law. That's that nasty little law where your employer, if it's in their contract, the employment contract, can terminate you for any reason, no reason at all, except if it's illegal on their part? Why would you make something like that? You know how many people been terminated from a job due to this? You know how many times I've been terminated? And it's all dealing with this at-will employment law. And I can't even remember when I was a company driver. When this happened, I was being lease purchased the whole time. Can you use the at-will employment law against lease purchase? People, truckers, everybody on these jobs, do your homework. Research these laws that's in your state. Recognize what's being said to you on these jobs. You know when they're getting ready to try to terminate you because they start doing this stuff. Research what's going on. Beat them at their own game. When you complain about it, use specific wording that will get them caught up in their own game. You can't just keep terminating people all willy-nilly. This at-will employment law is a disaster. Why would you create something like this? That's too much power for that employer to have. How would you like if you come in and work one day? Congress, or these people making these laws, labor law department, employment law people. How would you like it if you came into work and this at-will employment law got used on you? You ain't done nothing wrong. You've been doing your job. Perfect employee. And hey, we gotta let some people go. You know, really, and you out. Really no reason. They just come up with any reason. That's what that law does. It gives them any reason to get rid of you. And now, and at-will employment law now, it works both ways. That means you as an employee can leave that company for any reason or no reason. You don't have to tell them. I bet you ain't know that, did you? They always talking about you got to give them a 2-week notice. Now, if your employment contract says you're an at-will employee, did you know that? You ain't got to give them shit. You can bounce. Did you know that? Everybody, you ain't give them a 2-week notice and all that. No. Aren't you an at-will employer? I don't have to give you shit. I can just leave. Just like you could just terminate me for no reason. That works both ways. You need to see the pros and cons of this. Use it to your benefit. Okay, I'm going to read some more stuff. This here, you got 3 major exceptions. Public policy, implied contract, and covenant of good faith. If everybody adhered to this covenant of good faith, there'd be a lot more people still with their jobs. A lot more people still be able to sue these employers for getting away with this illegal activity to terminate you off your job. You just stop making up stuff, causing situations to terminate you from your job. You can't do that. Why would you do that? And here you is, U.S. Department of Labor, you created a law for them to be able to do that. And then you allowing them to misuse your own law. And I know damn well, I done said several things about several employers that terminated me that is illegal according to this at-will employment law. Did you do anything about it? No. We ain't doing nothing about it. Just let them get away with it. I was terminated and had to go on my merry way, getting myself, finding me other employment. Let's get back to this here at-will employment law. I want to implied contract. You know what that means? That's one of those verbal, you know, verbally spoke it out, but it ain't written nowhere. Long as everybody acting the way they're supposed to be acting in the verbiage of what you stated, you know, that's an implied contract. That's a contract that ain't written. It was verbal. It's not written down anywhere. It was verbal. It's like if you go to somebody, hey, man, I'm going to pay you this if you do this for me. That's an implied contract. It was verbal. It's not written. But that person that stated it is going to act in a certain way. And you, the person that was stated to, is going to act in a certain way to fulfill what they stated in that implied contract. That's an implied contract. Then you got public policy. Now this one here. This is the government's right here. The public policy. Let me read this here. Public policy is made in response to some sort of issue or problem that requires attention. That's one of the meanings of this. This is one of the key factors of public policy. I'm gonna state that again. It's made in response to some sort of issue or problem that requires attention. It's one of the key factors of public policy. I'm gonna read some more. Public policy is what the government chooses to do, which is actual, or not to do about a problem or an issue. What the government chooses to do or not to do about a problem or issue. That's public policy. One of the key factors of public policy. I want y'all pay attention. What you pay attention? See who role is in what? The government is the public policy. Public policy also made on the behalf. It's made on the behalf of the public. Public policy made on the behalf. I'm the public. You the public. Truckers are the public. Employees are the public. Individuals are the public. Your community, public. It's made on the behalf of us. And it also states it is oriented toward a goal or desired state. Is oriented to a goal, to achieve a goal. It's to a goal or desired states such as a solution to a problem. That's public policy. Oriented to a goal or desired state such as a solution to a problem. Public policy is ultimately made by governments. Whether the idea came from outside government or interaction of the government and the public. Ultimately made, public policy, ultimately made by the government. It also states it's an ongoing process with no clear beginning or end. Since decisions about who will benefit from the policy are continually reassessed, revisited, and revised. I call it the 3 R's. Reassessed, revisited, and revised. No clear beginning or end, because the decision about who will benefit from the policy is continually being reassessed, revisited, and revised. Let me tell you something. There's always a beginning and an end to something. The way I see it, if you are revisiting, reassessing, or revising policy, that's not, you're not ending it. It's just a continuation or addition to something necessary that needs to be put in that policy. And that policy is for what? What is policy for? That policy is responding to some sort of issue or problem that requires attention. So you're creating a policy that's supposed to respond to some sort of issue a problem that requires attention. It's basically supposed to have some sort of resolution to, or whether it benefit the public or whoever. All this is in at-will employment law. And these are the 3 major exceptions to that at-will employment law. I mean, what can an employer do that constituted being illegal? I'll give you an example. One of those 3 major one of those 3 majors I spoke up. Okay, say your employer can't use that at-will employment law to fire you if you refuse to do something illegal. That happened to me at a company here in Michigan. KC Transport terminated me because I was doing a Toyota run for them that you could not complete from that Toyota plant all the way up to Buffalo, New York, and back down to that Toyota plant in 11 hours time. I ended up having to add for a relay. And therefore, what the company did, tricked me back to the terminal. That's all they do. They trick you back. That's how they get you back, to get you terminated. They trick you back. US Express did that. Tricked me down to a terminal to terminate me. But with KC Transport, let me tell you what they did. Since I refused to run that stuff illegal, you know what they did? My first check was a paper check. So they sent me back to the terminal, told me I was coming to get my check. When I went in there to get my check, they told me I was no longer needed and terminated me. You want to know why? It's because I refused to run that load illegal. You couldn't get back up there. Toyota plant, I forgot what state it was in. It was a Toyota plant. We had to go, we get the load from there, run it up to Buffalo, New York. I think it was getting unloaded and reloaded, and then had to take it back down to the Toyota plant in 4 hours. And I'm a fast driver, and I couldn't do it. The last time I actually made it all the way down there, I actually ran out of drive time at the plant. I didn't have no time to be driving around trying to get that trailer dropped or on the dock or wherever they wanted it put at. But KC Transport was okay with that. I made it back down there. And I'm a fast driver. If I can't do it in my time, and the way I drive, it can't be done. And if somebody else is doing it, you cutting corners. You doing something. Because I run legal. I don't do that illegal stuff. If I can't do it in 11 hours drive time, I'm going to tell you it can't be done. But I got terminated for it. It's quite a few jobs terminated me. Violation of this at-will employment law. But, you know, they always say, first thing come out their mouth, it's at-will employment. But you need to look up what constitute the whole at-will employment law. What's in it? What can an employer really do and can't do? Because they got some exceptions in there that you need to know about. Is it something they terminated you for that fell under one of them exceptions, a violation, or is something illegal against one of those exceptions? They can't just do anything to you. So I wanted to speak on the at-will employment law, and I want y'all to go look it up. Look up your state at-will employment law. How it affects you on the job. Hey, take a look at your employment contract. Is it an at-will employment law? Because if it ain't, they can't just terminate you for anything. If they not an at-will employment, it's not in your contract. It's not at-will employment. They can't terminate you for anything. But I believe, I don't know how many states, I believe all the states have this at-will employment law. You have to research that. Don't quote me on that. But I know not all of them is that covenant of good faith. Not all of them is they don't adhere to that. But they claim now when you read up on this stuff, they say it's all in the contract. Okay. If it's in the contract, then why are they not acting in good faith? See, what Western Express did when that recruiter lied to me to get me down there. That goes against the covenant of good faith. Okay, but you telling me this is in all the contracts, but when I mentioned this is what it was done and to an attorney, you telling me I can't sue. Why is that? Is that because that state does not honor this covenant of good faith? Because I'm looking at these states that with these exceptions to the rules, that if they have them, some of them say yes and some of them say no. The majority of them is a lot of states that has no by covenant of good faith. But I mean, you're kind of contradicting yourself if you say it's in every contract. And if covenant of good faith is in every contract, some sort of covenant of good faith and fair dealings is in every contract, then why can't I sue for it? You lied to me to get me to a terminal, put a supervisor on the phone to tell me that I'm unhappy, and you terminate me and take my truck from me, and I'm lease purchase. You mean I can't sue for that? Risinger Brothers tells me some individual driver, and no name, ain't furnished nothing for me, calls the company, alerts them to my YouTube page. Mind you, I'm off duty on a 34-hour reset. I'm on my lease purchase truck that I have the contract to. I'm not on your property. I'm not at your property. I'm not in your office. I'm not using your company computer. I'm not using your company phone. I'm not using any of that. I was off duty on a 34-hour, matter of fact, it was over 34 hours. It was a 48-hour reset. Because my reset would have been up late Sunday, and I wasn't going nowhere. So I set my reset to PTA for 7 a.m. that Monday morning. But after I started inquiring for a load, next thing you know, I got a call giving this story about this driver doing that, and I got terminated. But can you terminate somebody who's not your employee? I signed a contract for that truck. And what your terms were, as far as me as a driver, and the money you wanted for that truck. That's what I signed. And whatever else you put in there, in that contract. That's what I signed. Nowhere in that contract says I'm your employee. I'm not your employee. I'm lease purchase. And see, that's what they've been getting away with. You using that lease purchase as a mask to treat me as a company driver. And you were getting away with a lot of illegal shit. Ripping me off of thousands of dollars. All those trucks of mine, gone. All that money in lease payments, gone. Abuse of this at-will employment law. Can you actually use that law against a lease purchase contractor? I'm a contractor, independent contractor. But now, coming home, coming local, if I become a W-2, when I'm a W-2, okay, now I'm actually working for an employer. Now I am an employee. I'm no longer a lease purchase. But when I was over the road, I was lease purchase. Can you use at-will employment? That's a valid question, a valid argument. You know, I would make that. I would take this up in class if I was in studying law. Can you use that against lease purchase? Technically, in the eyes of the IRS, we're not an employee. And that's what the IRS told me. You're not an employee. So how can you use at-will employment law? What? Because of the contract? But it says at-will employment law. Employment means to employ. If you employ, that means I'm doing some type of work for you. But everything I read about this at-will employment law, that first word come out of there, the employee. Employee. I'm not an employee. No lease purchase operator is an employee. You're not an employee. That would be a valid argument. And I always wondered about that, and that dawned on me. Even when OIDA said that. You're an at-will employee. Employee. You keep saying that same word. I mean, you hear it, but you ain't hearing your damn self. At-will employment law. You're an at-will employee. No, I am not if I'm lease purchase. And that's a valid argument. So far as I'm concerned, You done got away with doing something illegal against me, terminating me, using at-will employment law as a basis. Making up shit to terminate me? Why would you do that? You did something wrong to me. I can't say nothing about it. Then you want to terminate me. What are you doing? You're not acting in good faith. You being deceitful. Malice. Shifty, shady. But they get away with it. So, this is my video, this dirty trucking. I wanted to bring that at-will employment law out there to you. This was a, now I don't want to say a serious video, but this is something that you all need to look into. You need to know your employment status. Whether you're a company driver, or you just a regular worker on the job, or you lease purchase. I mean, you need to really bring that question up to an attorney or somebody. I need to ask my senator, the labor law. Okay, if I'm lease purchase, in the eyes of the IRS, you're not an employee. We're under business law. How are you using at-will employment law? And I'm running a business. I'm running a business. At-will employment is employees. You employed. You didn't employ me. I signed a contract to lease for you to do work for me. Running my business while leasing a vehicle from you under your terms of that contract. That don't make me an employee. See, this is how these people get away with this stuff all these years. Misquoting government policy. Taking out keywords and saying stuff to you. And they be getting away with it. How do you sit up there and not hear that they're abusing your own policies that you made? In the government. You make these ridiculous policies that people are abusing. And then when we complain about it, you act like we have no legal avenue at all. You know how many times an attorney told me I can't sue, it's too late to sue? Like you helping them. Why are you helping these people get away with something they shouldn't be getting away with? Telling me what I can't do legally. And I can, and I know I can. You don't want to know why? It's because they don't want to. They don't want me to get a lawsuit. They don't want me to bring the light that they sit up there and allow the company to function doing something illegal here to their employees, to that violation of public policy, goes against the covenant of good faith, implied contract. They don't want people like me to bring that to light. But yet I'm supposed to accept being terminated for no reason. Bullshit reason. My YouTube page, I was off duty on a 34-hour reset. I wasn't at the company. My phone ain't your property. I didn't use any of your property. That truck I'm leasing, that was my truck to lease. You own it technically until I pay it off. You have the title. But I'm leasing that truck. I have a contract for that truck. I'm on my own time. You tell me somebody called you up. Somebody called you up. Some strange driver that became the YouTube police and got me terminated. Now I'm back home having to take jobs I really shouldn't be dealing with. Doing stuff I shouldn't be doing. I'm luxury trucking. I'm over the road trucking. If I'm going to be local, it's got to be money in it. But I don't want to be doing local work I shouldn't be doing. Putting myself in danger. Strenuous work that I wasn't doing. All because you was being deceitful out there over the road. Doing stuff to me that you shouldn't have been doing. Getting away with illegal shit. Everybody get an attorney. But I couldn't get no attorney. Why is it I never could get an attorney? Why were you always sounding like you were justifying what they were doing? You out of line. And this is a valid argument. I would have made a damn good attorney. I should have been in law. All right, this dirty trucking on here discussing the at-will employment law. I suggest y'all look up them laws and what it means as far as you with these employment contracts that you're signing on these jobs and what the employer can do. And be prepared. I mean, I would hate you know, I hate to know that this law even exists. You can just be terminated for no damn reason at all. Ain't got to have no reason. They just come up to you, boop, you gone. Why would you make something like that? Is that in the best interest of the public? Government? You made the policy. Is that the best interest? Who is this? I think that benefits the employee, the employer, not the employee. To know that you sign a contract to do some work for somebody as an employee, and at any given reason, for no reason, they can disrupt your income and don't have to have a valid goddamn reason. Why would you make a law like the at-will employment law? Everybody was hollering about that right-to-work law. No, that at-will employment law, that's that nasty one. I can't stand that law. They get away with heinous acts against employees. Terminations, unjustified. Because of that law. It needs to be revisited, revised. All these states needs to adhere to that covenant of good faith. All the states. That would stop a lot of this nonsense that's going on. A lot more people had their jobs. Dirty trucking, going to school on you with this at-will employment law, spitting out some verbiage I looked up online, and bringing up a valid argument. If we was in school, you know, is it lease purchase? Can you govern a lease purchase under an employment law? We're not employees. You know, that's valid stuff. You know, and I think I might have said something that made them, the government, like, wait a minute now. If they not, see, you contradicting yourself. The IRS said lease purchase ain't employees because we're not supposed to be employees. We supposed to be running things and free and do what we supposed to do as far as being lease purchase or qualified to be as independent contractor. But on the other side, you letting these companies control us. You know they controlling us. We're telling you they're controlling us, and they're getting away with it. So on the company side, yeah, we lease purchase on paper, but not in reality. When it comes down, if I come in there and I want a tire off, and I got to get approval, I'm not lease purchase. I'm not supposed to have approval when you taking my maintenance account. I don't have to ask you for approval to do that. I'm lease purchase. But y'all don't see this stuff that I see. And here I am, 50 years old, and it's still going on, and it's getting worse and worse. So I don't know. Hell, I think government needs to be revisited, reassessed, and revised. It's Dirty Trucking for you, coming at my home up here in Detroit, and I'll be talking to you with my next video. I don't know if I'm gonna do something. You know, I try to lighten the mood, make it sometimes try to make it kind of comical. You know, to get your mind off that you're being terminated or something going wrong. So I don't know what my next topic gonna be, but this one been on my mind since that termination happened, that at-will employment law. And this is a dirty, nasty law, and I don't like the law. They need to redo this law, do away with the damn law, or add covenant of good faith. Put that shit in there. Make these jobs not be held accountable. You just can't come up for any old bullshit ass reason to get rid of some damn body. Terminate them. You can't do it. Why y'all don't want the covenant of good faith in y'all states? You talking about this in the contract, but when it come down to legal, you act like it ain't in there. Like I said, the government and the people making these rules and regulations and policies for the public, you all need to be reassessed, revisited, and revised. This is Dirty Trucking, coming at you from my apartment here in the D. Y'all take care, be safe. Happy trucking to y'all that's over the road, those local. Y'all be safe driving out there.